really touched at the beginning when you shared your story about how you changed your company and how you went through this transformation. And I'm intrigued to find out, where did you find the inner strength? Because I imagine it to be a painful process, losing some friends and leaving people behind, and yeah, setting people free. And I personally find that very difficult, and I'm really curious if I can learn something from you.
Thank you very much, Gesa. I'm fascinated by neuromarketing. I don't even know what that is, so I'm already intimidated just by the terminology. Okay, so let's see if I can share a couple of things. As a very sensitive person who's in tune with other people's emotions, I'm a caretaker, and so I'm always tending to the feelings, emotions, and needs of other people. It's what led me to having a toxic company, because I was like, oh, I don't want to offend you, and I feel miserable, but I'll just deal with it myself. So I'd go home and my wife would ask me like how to go at the office, like, oh my God, it's so terrible. And she's like, you need to fire people. Like, I can't fire people like that. And it's a whole process. And what happens is there's a price to pay. There's a price to pay all around. And I start to think about that. At first, I think it's like, well, these people are so talented and they're important to the company and they're driving sales and they're driving new business. And if I get rid of them, there's going to be a financial consequence. There's a price to pay there. And that was operating mostly out of fear. Like, oh, what's going to happen if we hire different people who aren't as talented? Okay, so that's fear-based. There was the concern of like, well, if I fire them, how would they support themselves and their families? And that becomes an additional responsibility. So there's the fear of hurting them professionally and financially. Like, what are they going to do? And then there's the other thing, which is, well, the price that I'm paying, there's an emotional toll that it's taking on me. And I'm not thrilled. So I'm not sitting here thinking about like, what can I do to help grow my own company? I'm just thinking about how do I avoid going to work? So there's a heavy price. And there's a fourth price that you're paying that you're not aware of at the beginning, which is, what about 90% of the rest of the company that has to deal with them and they have no power? And we can see this happen in many different ways in terms of hostile work environments where it's not kind to protected groups of people. They have no power. And this is where leadership is important. And they see that you're okay with it, so they just sit there and suck it up. And this is me failing as a leader now. So there's a lot of complex emotions that are going on. And I have to say that at the end of the day, I'm going to steal a line from Simon Sinek, which is like, it's not about who's in charge, it's about who's in your charge. And the 90% of the people at the company are good-hearted, kind, generous, open-hearted, curious, adventurous people. But they're being stepped on emotionally by these bullies that are in the company, both on the business side and on the creative side. And so now I have to step in there and say, for the love of the people, I have to do something. I have to overcome my own fears, my own inhibitions, and step up and be a leader.
So you turned the love of the people that was first the challenge into your strength by looking at the other people. Okay.
Yeah, you're focusing on the wrong people. It's the problem, right?
Mm.
And we know this. It's like when it's always the loud, obnoxious people that get all the attention. They suck up all the oxygen in the room. And then the quiet introverts, the shy, the meek ones, they just get ignored. They're doing good work. They're contributing to the company. And so I had made this decision, and I had to reconcile this within myself. Is as a business person, I would rather make less money and be happier with the people who show up, even if the quality of the work was worse. And that's pretty subjective to begin with, that whole statement, right? But I was willing. And once I made that commitment, I'm okay with the consequences now. And believe me when I tell you this, I had to have multiple conversations with my sales team, my sales reps, to say, this is coming down the line. I'm letting these people go. Not all at once, so we're not going to hemorrhage. Like, I want to control bleed. And so they were like, Chris, we respect you. I know you need to do this, but we're going to tell you it's going to be a lot harder to sell you without these people in the company. I said, that's a consequence I'm willing to live with. If you need to leave us and you don't want to work with us anymore, I totally understand. But I got to do this for my own sanity. It's a painful process, Gesa. If this is something that you need to do or contemplating on doing, and you just need to talk to somebody, I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Okay? Because it's painful. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
when you're done, it feels amazing. I can tell you that part. Maybe I should do that. But Toki's like, this is horrible. What a disaster this conversation has been. So let me try and end it on a much more positive note. Okay.
Well, in the end, it's honest.
Yeah. I mean,
it's, it's better than sugarcoating it. Yes.
A little. Yeah. Well, that's the honest part. But then I'll tell you, this is honest too. I'm not going to sugarcoat this part. When it was all done, a year and a half later, I went into the office. I have a staff meeting. All my managers are in the room and I'm looking at them. And when I present a new idea, they're like, let's do it. That's amazing. And we're getting along and people are contributing and they're supportive of each other. And now new ideas can happen. So the future, I've actually never thought about this. The future could not have existed if I didn't surround myself with the people who made that a possibility. Because before, the other people were consuming all of my energy in a very negative way. And so I have nothing left to give. Like I'm drained at the end of each day, each quarter, each year. I'm empty. I'm thinking about retirement because I don't want to do this anymore. It's not worth it. And when I create a place where there's that great family spirit that's happening and we're looking out for each other, where we're defending and protecting one another, and there's no more of this negative energy, or it's so minimal, I would say, because there's never such thing as nothing, but the negative energy is so slight that I don't even feel it anymore. It creates a place for me to be more creative, for me to want to take bolder moves and be more innovative. Like it's hard to invent new solutions when all you're dealing with is putting out fires.
I like the idea that you just said there's some people that give you energy when you spend time with them, and there's some people who drain your energy. And just thinking about it in these terms rather than what do they bring towards the company might actually help me. Yes, thank you.
Okay,
so
good.
I'm thinking about energy drainers and energy givers now.
Yes.
And I really love the picture because I know, Chris, at some points you made the maths, like calculating, you know, how long do I have to work? You know, maybe you have your financial advisor and so thinking of retirement on one side with people surrounded that kind of drain you energy-wise, and then something happening like the Futur, how much, you know, just thinking about the name, you know, retirement and the future. You know, it's so like it's such a kind of contrasty picture for me. Thank you for that.